Hello and welcome to another SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So, in this episode, I will be discussing the 1979 science fiction movie Star Trek: The Motion Picture, as directed by Robert Wise. So, this starts my journey into the world of Star Trek movies, with this being not only the very first outing in a feature film for Captain Kirk, as played by William Shatner, and his crew from the original TV series, but also marks the very first ever Star Trek feature film. The film is set a number of years after the events of Star Trek, the original series, as created by Gene Roddenberry, which kind of ended some 10 years prior to the film actually being released. We learn that as the film starts, that some of the original crew of the Enterprise, the original starship featured in the TV series, have kind of gone in their different directions following their original 5-year mission to explore the galaxy and, of course, strange new worlds. Kirk has now been promoted to the rank of Admiral and is no longer at the helm of the Enterprise. Spock, as played by Leonard Nimoy, is no longer commissioned in Starfleet and basically is back on his home world of Vulcan to finish the ritual of Kolonar, the assertion of pure logic. And Dr. Leonard McCoy, or Bones as he is affectionately known, as played by DeForest Kelley, is happily off the Enterprise, enjoying life on terra firma. Even the Enterprise itself has had a major new refit and has a new captain, Captain Willard Decker, as played by Stephen Collins. We learn that a strange alien vessel is travelling on a course towards Earth and is seemingly unstoppable, devouring everything and everyone in its path with little to no communication or rationale for its journey, or the course, or its destructive nature. Seizing an opportunity, Kirk actually pushes to regain control of the Enterprise in order to undertake a dangerous mission to intercept the approaching vessel and stop its approach using any means necessary, much to the dismay of Captain Decker, who basically is temporarily demoted to the rank of Commander and First Officer. Needless to say, that there is inevitable power struggle, basically, that ensues between Kirk and Decker as a result. And I would say, basically, of that hostile takeover, it's a brand new Enterprise, and Kirk hasn't logged a single space hour for a number of years. Decker thinks he has the experience and knowledge of the Enterprise that Kirk doesn't. So Decker believes Kirk's captaincy of the Enterprise puts their mission at risk. So, after sensing a strong logical presence emanating from the alien vessel, Spock actually leaves the ritual of Kolonar on his home world, and he leaves it incomplete. Much to everybody's ecstatic surprise, however, Spock then does proceed to join the Enterprise once again, and obviously its crew, on its mission to intercept the alien vessel. With all of the original crew now back together, the Enterprise continues its perilous journey and intercepts the alien craft, embarking on an adventure like no other. So, when I had first watched this film, when I was young, I hadn't actually seen the original series, that I'll be honest with. For me, the motion picture was always kind of the slowest of the Star Trek films, with those kind of following being a lot more punchy with regards to their delivery and plot. Okay, it was the first go, and obviously learning a lot about translating the magic of the original series into film. I'm not quite sure that it worked in full, but you can kind of see where they were heading. Watching the original series, though, however, after the fact, did give me a newfound love and appreciation for this film. But even after watching it again for this review, I still have to agree it is certainly one of the slowest kind of Star Trek movies. There are certainly kind of a number of scenes which, to be fair, could have been to be moved at a bit of a brisker pace. The cinematography, however, and style of the film does, however, more than make up for this, with some, and please bear in mind, the film isn't, of course, Star Wars, some really fantastic special effects. And by that, I mean on the budget that it had. And literally breathtaking shots of the Enterprise throughout. The film, for me, had almost like a 2001 Space Odyssey-esque kind of feel to it in its execution. I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying in its execution. With the space station and kind of the visual shots and flybys. Almost like the creators wanted to kind of flex their muscle and show off what they couldn't have perhaps undertaken during the TV series. From the very first scene, we are greeted with some great flyovers of a series of Klingon birds of prey, which have the unfortunate business of being the first to investigate the alien vessel. I, of course, know that these and the Enterprise were only models, used to make the film, but it's they're simply exquisite to see them on the big screen for the very first time, and the attention to detail, for me, is absolutely fantastic. There is about 5 or so minutes worth of a scene where Kirk is kind of being transported to the Enterprise from the space dock by Montgomery Scott, or Scotty, as played by James Doohan, in a shuttlecraft. They seem to kind of go around the houses to get to the Enterprise, but in doing so, there are some of the most magical shots of the Enterprise from all directions. This is kind of in conjunction with the fantastical and grandioso musical score by Jerry Goldsmith, and that just really makes this whole scene feel very operatic and very emotional. That scene raises the hairs on the back of my neck each time I watch it. The majesty of the Enterprise is certainly preserved in that scene. But looking at Wikipedia, when I was doing the review, I do note that the scene may not have actually been quite intended to have that effect. Moreover, it was kind of a rushed and unedited scene. Apparently meant that it went really on a bit too long. I'll continue, however, to choose to think it was deliberate. So yeah, the soundtrack. I absolutely loved the soundtrack since the very first time I ever watched the film. In fact, the soundtrack stood out for me more than the film did itself, and I think it really does deserve a mention. As touched upon above, the musical score was composed by Jerry Goldsmith, weaving in sort of threads of the theme from the original TV series as composed by Alexander Courage. The soundtrack is grand and romantic in nature, and it gives you the perfect sense of being in space, and part of something that's kind of, that you feel part of something that's going to be big from the offset. The film, for the genre that it's in, perhaps, is quite unique in the sense that it actually has what's known as an overture, a piece called Leah's theme. Ilea, that's it, Ilea's theme, kind of set at the beginning of the movie, before the initial titles roll. So this is played to nothing more than a blank screen, with a few stars scrolling by. The theme is quite powerful on its own. I mean, I must admit, however, that I thought the TV had broke when I was younger, because nothing was like appearing on the screen. But when it suddenly falls silent, and then all of a sudden you are greeted with the loud, dramatic Star Trek fanfare set to start with the Paramount logo, you just can't help but feel you are in for something fantastical and epically out of this world. In fact, the fanfare and the music, stylized by Jerry Goldsmith for this movie, has been used on a number of occasions throughout the film series and, indeed, the Next Generation TV series. Absolutely, truly epic. So, in summary, yes, the film is perhaps a little too drawn out, especially when you compare that to other films in the Star Trek series. The film takes the original series cast in a different direction to that in the series itself, in an attempt to bring the premise to kind of a more contemporary audience. Well, for 1979, of course. It doesn't always work, and okay, so the acting is perhaps a little hammy at times, with elements, especially the likes of the ship, when the ship's being attacked, all the check-in, kind of being overacted at times. But it's a good start to the Star Trek movie series, nonetheless, with some absolutely excellent cinematography, truly stunning shots of the Enterprise throughout, and an absolutely magical, awe-inspiring soundtrack. So, that brings me to the end of this review. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do consider subscribing to my channel for more movie reviews. Certainly more in the Star Trek series. The next one, of course, being The Wrath of Khan. Movie trailer reactions when we can do those. And just other movie-related things like movie-related gameplays and other sort of things. But yes, thank you very much for watching. Please do come back to SciFirst MovieTalk. We'd love to see you again. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.